wrapping up the season.
Right.
And I mean, it was grand. It was a really good season.
It was a long ass season.
Was it?
I thought so.
Maybe because of the approach. I think because we had 12 episodes the first season. This one was 11.
It was long. It was long as fuck.
Well, you were in post, so. And we were incorporating elements that we didn't have in the first season.
Yeah.
Like, first season was very, like, templated. This one was kind of, like, trial and error type.
And then 2020 was just a long ass year too, though.
Absolutely. You know what? You're right. This is our longest season ever. It lasted 3 years. You're welcome.
Yeah.
Just like 2020. 2020 was 20 years.
Yeah. I mean, it just 2020 just. Oh.
Yeah. I'm sure everybody knows exactly what you mean just by saying, ooh.
In 2021, I'm trying to get a feel for her because I don't know what she's giving yet.
Well, we don't really know what... I mean, 2020 taught us that we don't know what the year is giving until at least March. So we have a little bit of something.
Yeah.
Praying. I mean, it's inauguration week.
It is.
And 2 weeks ago, we were dealing with the whites, and I'll be more specific, the bigoted whites.
Yes.
Because I like white people to an extent. But the bigoted whites were really upset.
Yeah.
They were really triggered because the very system that they built to work against us, we're thriving in, baby.
Yeah.
We get the game.
I wonder how it feels to be fucked by your own dick. You know?
I've tried it, and I mean, I'm not blessed with the 14-inch penis, so I don't know if I actually have it measured. Anyway.
Oh God.
I was taking it literal. I was doing a Sean. But yeah, I do like no matter okay. And we talked about this like last week.
Yeah.
About just how powerful and incredible Black people are.
Yeah.
Because y'all somehow, some way got other niggas to snatch us up. To then give to y'all. Y'all enslaved our asses. And we still managed to get 44.
Yeah.
And he be a Black man. 44, honey. Jim Crow was yesterday.
Yeah.
And we still got a Black man in office.
Literally.
And now Georgia done fucked around. Georgia.
And went blue.
Done fucked around and went blue.
Amen.
Because of who? Black people.
Yeah.
Black people heading the charge. Black people turning out to the polls. Black people saying enough is enough.
And I think I was telling you this also, like, you know, I don't rejoice in people's misery. Like, I actually like really like people to, you know, prosper and be happy and all that other stuff. But just seeing the detriment.
That's a good word.
And disappointment.
Yeah.
That, because it's a certain type of YPO. Yeah. It's a certain type.
YPO?
YPO. Why people? Why people? Exactly. It's a certain type of person who I love to see the tears drop down their cheeks and hit the ground and sizzle.
As I drink this purified drinking water for great value.
It's refreshing.
It's refreshing.
And
just like that Corona you had yesterday.
Oh, child.
The beer. Beer.
We'll get into
we have to specify
right.
The beer. Corona.
Right. Because I was like, I didn't have Corona.
The beer.
Okay.
With lime.
But it's so... Because building off what you said, for us to being snatched up, and not only on the coast of Africa, but central, like the central.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They needed the niggas to do it because they wouldn't go in there.
From them snatching us up to the depths of Africa.
Mm-hmm.
Crossing the motherfucking Atlantic, because that's a motherfucking journey.
Mm-hmm.
To centuries of tearing down culture and attempting to tear down our spirits, but they didn't do that.
Yeah. Identity.
Going to that gap between the Civil War and civil rights, and then this whole journey to, essentially where we are now, from the civil rights movement to us literally using the same system you have used to fuck us in the ass for centuries. Just not work in your favor. And to be used against you to tear down the same bullshit that you have been trying to reinforce. It is so refreshing. White people tears, literally.
But that's what white people do. The Boston Massacre, they was mad. Not the Boston Massacre. The Boston Tea Party, they was mad.
Yes.
The Civil War, they was mad at each other.
They were mad at each other.
They were pissed. They didn't know if people should be enslaved or if they shouldn't. Like, they get upset. Like, these are the same people who would get mad at college football games and throw riots. And
people did riot after sports games.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
If it was ever that deep.
White people. I love that. White people.
White people. I'm gonna get the analogy by the end.
I like white people because it's a derivative of white people, but it's toward like the people where you're just looking at them and you're like, why? Why do you even feel the need to do that? What is the end goal? Do you have any KPIs? Key performance indicators, like what is the strategy here?
Right.
I'm just not seeing the long term, thing.
Yeah.
Because it's not fun being ignorant. It's not fun being racist.
It's not.
It's actually quite embarrassing, especially when you're caught on video being bigoted.
Yeah.
And then you turn around and now you have a felony.
It's
great job.
It's not fun being mean at all. Like,
it's not.
And I think I said it on my Instagram story, and I was joking, but I wasn't joking. But I was just like, your dick gets just a little bit shorter when you're just mean-spirited and negative. Like,
absolutely,
your shit gets dry.
Yeah.
It gets real crispy when you're just mean. Like, there's no. It takes so much energy for you to be a terrible person. Yeah,
it does, and I it's exhausting, and that's why white people look the way they do.
Because it sucks their life.
Because
energy.
It just drains you of any type of nourishment. It drains you of a mother's love. It drains you of a pay increase.
Oh.
It's draining, honey. But here we are about to celebrate the inauguration of our first black woman, our first woman executive, our first black woman executive. I think this is the first black VP.
Yeah. Ever.
And black, like, just history, just tenfold.
Yeah.
And Biden going back to the White House. I'm really excited about the things that he's been talking about. Thank God that Georgia came the fuck through, and now we have a blue Senate, honey.
Yes. A blue House and Senate.
We're gonna get some shit done. But yeah, the white people are really upset, and the black people who cater to white people are very conflicted and confused, and they're trying to reclaim their time with their native people, and it's just very weird to me. It's very strange because there are a lot of people who are trying to clarify certain things, like those rappers that were supporting Trump, trying to clarify some things.
No, stay where you were.
And I'm like, sis,
it's done.
Were you upset because Biden was going to actually tax you for what you're worth as opposed to taxing the people who can barely breathe? Like, Flint still doesn't have clean water. Like, there's still issues much greater than your net worth.
Yeah.
Stop being an asshole. Remember where the fuck you came from. And do your part, honey. Pay your fucking taxes.
Yeah.
And Trump needs to pay. Trump actually needs to be put under the cell.
Child.
You know that whole what was it, Scandal? Was Huck put in a hole? That hole that was B613.
Yes.
When they was put in a hole. That's what needs to happen.
Child, that's too good for him.
To be put in a hole?
I need some worse.
Child.
But let's back up.
Okay.
How are you?
Oh, yeah, we did kind of just...
It's fine, though. It's fine.
Child, I'm all right.
Just all right?
I'm good. It's just, wow, December 2020 just shook my boots, bitch. I ended up with COVID. And still don't really know how. I think it was at the Charlotte airport. When we were in that busy-ass food court. Because that was the longest time that I had my mask off because I was eating.
Right.
But other than that, it wasn't like we were around a lot of people doing a lot of things. Like,
I mean, we were actually really responsible.
Yeah, so I was thoroughly confused. But it is what it is. Illness is inevitable. We don't sit here and want it to happen, but sometimes it just does. And my body becomes pretty prone to illness around like winter, around the time that the seasons are changing, because my allergies, I don't know, my body's just trying to adjust to everything.
And I was going to say, you stay like having like strep or something where it just takes you out.
Yeah, so I've been prone to like bacterial shit. And I'm like, what the fuck? Because I was struggling with strep earlier that year, and I thought it was COVID. Hell, it could have been.
There's no telling at this point.
Ain't no telling. But I was struggling with strep, and then I had strep like 6 months prior, so my strep came back. And then we got hit with a pandemic. So I guess my body is just prone to certain things. But I'm here. I'm better. Getting better as the days go on. Applying for grad schools. And really just trying to set up the next 10 years. Like, we all thought 2020 was the beginning of the decade, but 2021 actually is.
Yeah. It was 0, not 1.
Yeah. Absolutely. So we're here just trying to set up, you know, that dreaded job interview question. Where do you see yourself in 10 years? Well, I'm trying to figure that out right now.
Yeah.
2020 actually said fuck you to my
your next
5-year, 10-year plans.
Yeah.
And so I'm rethinking a lot of things, but I'm okay. God is good, and I'm here. How are you?
I can say I'm doing good. I don't know, 2020, it did a lot of different things for me. And sort of just coming into this year, well, let me back up. I will say that I'm doing good because I think for the first time, like this week, just after months of just feeling like I can't, I felt like I could. And, you know, I had a really good first rehearsal back for the year. And just the positive affirmation I got from that was like, and nobody, I mean, I got told good job after, but like just the feeling that I had during and just sort of having that self affirmation, like just did so much for me. I'm like, oh my gosh, like this is what I've been needing pretty much my whole life at this point. Like this is what I've been needing. And then just sort of, I don't know, being in spaces where I'm just focusing on myself and I'm saying fuck you to everybody. And I don't know, being in spaces where I can truly like just self-reflect and divvy up what's good for me and what's not. But I don't know, it's still, I'm still navigating how to recreate that energy and just sort of be in that space. I feel like I'm having deja vu right now. Like, probably because we keep talking about, like, we always have conversations like this. I'm having serious deja vu. Mm-hmm. But I'm trying to recreate that energy. So I can just do what I need to do this year, because I'm trying to get into grad school too. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, just make things shake and just be in a better place than, I don't know.
And you've like been bringing up recently how you tend to do things subconsciously. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I guess it's been a thing more recently because you've been rewatching some of your old content and you're like in the moment. Mm-hmm. And I very much so feel that way with BGO. And I actually use that in my grad school personal statement or statement of purpose or letter of intent, whatever right. Your institution.
Bitch, I'm going to grad school. Right, period. This is why.
Yeah. But I was like, BGO really opened my mind to like all this different stuff. Like I started thinking about my program, and it was in our conversation with Sherry about religion that she brought to my attention what humanities was giving in that space, and it kind of caused me to go down this path of academic and disciplinary enlightenment, and really trying to figure out a way to tie in my passions, which is, I mean, the humanities are just, I mean, literally it's in the name, human, humanity, you know, being humble, you know, knowing your roots, knowing what makes you human, and being able to study that and to implement it, especially in the world that we're in where white people exist, and they're very prevalent and oftentimes right underneath our chins, and we just don't know it. Literally working in public office and public safety, XYZ. It's important to be me, to be a black gay man, to be a black queer man, to be God-fearing, to be all these different things, to be myself, and to be able to bring myself into certain spaces. Because in undergoing conversations with professors and with students and with directors at different institutions, I'm opening up conversation, and everybody's just like, yeah, yeah. And I feel like this is the time to do it with such a historic administration that's about to come into office. And I mean, people have their hesitations, you know, everybody's saying this and the third about Kamala, everybody's saying this and the third about Jill, everybody's saying this and the third about, you know, Washington and the Democrats right now. But I think the biggest thing that we need to realize is that we are society. The reason why those people exist the way that they do is because they're operating in a society and how it was built. Honey, we can change that.
Right.
It's up to us to do it. They're operating in a space that was very much so structured accordingly. We can change that.
Right.
And I think simply having conversations and reminding ourselves of the conversations that we have, either subconsciously or consciously, or that we forget about, is important.
Yeah. No, so with, I guess, sort of transitioning into like, I don't know, some of the things that we've talked about this past year and where you are now, with everything that's sort of happened with you internally, happened externally with politics and just, I don't know, different things. Like, where are you at? Like, what sort of comes to mind based on the conversations that we've had this past year?
So I'm extremely optimistic because the conversations that we had were they were very versatile. They were dynamic. People, you know, were in education. People were in media. People were in tech. People were doing music. People are doing, you know, fashion, and have worked in different industries, right? So knowing that we had that scope of black folk, and, you know, a good bit of them being queer identifying, was extremely reassuring and helping me kind of sit back and knowing that we have this these this research essentially, because
Mm-hmm.
all last season essentially was research, right?
Yeah.
So if you and I wanted to sit down, or anybody wanted to sit down and really figure out ways to navigate certain spaces, they could very well listen to our episodes and be like, okay, so we know what Sean is bringing to the table as a higher ed professional, as somebody that went to school for something completely different, you know, but is still navigating that space. We know what Carlton's head is at as a public relations, communications, marketing specialist, and him trying to pivot and navigate through the world, and his comfort in finding, you know, community at home, in his gay community, and like we know what they bring to the table, and then we also know what their guests brought to the table. And I mean, we did a really good job at making sure that their experiences were just as prevalent as ours.
Yeah.
Giving them space to talk, you know, presenting their bios, and you know, letting them incorporate their business ventures and their services into everything. So I think that was really good. And I just look forward to building on that. I think the next 5-10 years looks really good for BGO, even if we're not podcasting. I mean, I talked to you about this earlier this weekend, Sean, how I just love how our relationship just allows us to continue to build. And even when it becomes a little difficult, because it's never perfect, it's never always going to be perfect, but we just have this way of being able to fuel off each other, and I think that's powerful. We're two black men. We're two black men who are influential in every single space that we occupy. We literally cannot help it. And I've been telling you this since high school, when you were over dance routine committee. Like, your ability to draw people into a concept and to, like, hit a home run with it is just ridiculous.
Yeah.
And, you know, I realize my strengths in that too. And so just building on that. And I feel like the more educated we become, the more life we experience. Because we're fucking 24, about to turn 25. Like, motherfuckers be at their mama house playing video games, you know.
No car.
No car, no job. Really twiddling their thumbs at 24, 25.
No intention. Let's not.
And, you know, right. Like, it's not
right.
It's not a bad thing, because everybody's journey is different.
Yes.
You know, RuPaul talks about it all the time, how when he was 25, he wasn't really doing shit. RuPaul had to completely repivot his career a couple of times. And now we're looking at his legacy, and I mean, this man, he's just done so much for LGBTQ acceptance, and especially in the media. Like, there's a drag race in Holland and Canada, the UK. Those are the ones that come to mind, and of course the one here. There's derivatives
all
of
under
it.
him, or
I mean, they're based off of his brand.
Okay.
And so he was able to give all of these different people freedom to express themselves. And he's this black man from, I think he's from Detroit.
Yeah.
Black man from Detroit, but he's also had residency in Atlanta and in New York and in LA, and, you know, just trying to find his space. And he generated a lot of that passion and drawed a lot of inspiration from black people. And so it's just beauty in it, and I think we have just so much. I mean, our guests included, what they bring to the table, was just incredible. So I look forward to building on that.
Okay.
How about you?
I think if anything, and you actually spoke on it a little bit, just how I have this ability to sort of bring people to a concept or have this buy-in when it comes to either my vision or something. Like, I'm like wanting to sort of spread across, like, I mean, in the terms you talked about, it was across the band and like getting them to like, all right, you about to do this routine. But I think it's about, for me, this, just where I am now and just some of the things that we talked about this season, is understanding my role. And not only understanding my role, but being confident in my role and being affirmed in my role. Because I think that's where I... Hold up, y'all. We gonna take a quick break.
In light of Miss Rona, the boys at BGO Pod have adapted a virtual platform to conduct and record interviews with this season's very special opinionated people, or VSOPs for short.
We thank you for bearing with any technical difficulties in advance. This pandemic has been raggedy, but in spite of, the conversations we've had with our VSOPs have been refreshing and were well worth the technical struggle. Now, enjoy the show. All right, we're back. Like I was saying, cause BGO is just prone for like interruptions,
Honey.
us feeding our stomachs,
Yep.
and I don't know what else.
Straight up tomfoolery.
just everything.
A lot of everything. Just blackness.
Right.
Sorry.
But
Actually, not sorry.
sorry, not
sorry.
But I think through it all, just where I am now, being confident in my role and just being affirmed in my role, because I think one of the things that I've always struggled with is, I've never really struggled with being the person who, I am. Like, I've always been Sean, like...
Absolutely.
Sean, whatever. So...
What is happening?
Ah! There y'all go, getting the authentic experience again.
Look, it was Clubhouse, sorry.
Not
they always
Clubhouse.
talking.
Oh.
I don't know how the hell I got on the app. I haven't been on it forever.
But I've always had this... I've always been Sean. And no matter, I've got more wisdom, I'm more mature, I deal with things differently, but still the core of Sean is Sean. And I've never struggled with that, but I've struggled with feeling good in that, because people have just had a way of, I'm empathetic, and I listen to people, and, I tend to be the bridge between a lot of different people, ideas, whatever it may be. And I don't sit in that and be rooted in that. I sort of let people sort of talk me up or be like, well, Sean, this, and, if they feel a way about me and all that other stuff, like, I tend to let that change how I feel about myself, opposed to me just focusing on the good that I have caused in the position I'm in. Because honestly, not even talking about some of the conversations that we had yet, but I just lost contact with a lot of people in 2020. And, them not really understanding, like, the person that I am, that person that I'm trying to be, like, that was really hard for me to swallow.
Yeah.
But on the flip side of it, I'm having these conversations, and I have a whole podcast sort of based on, like, partially because you're the co-host too, but I have a podcast based on who I am. Absolutely. And I'm having these amazing conversations. And not only having these amazing conversations, but just like you, like, I was inspired by a lot of this stuff. And, like, that's why when I began writing my personal statement for grad school and all that other stuff. So it's like I'm having, like, these two different experiences. And I think up until, really just as we pass into the new year, and just as I'm dealing with some remnants of 2020 spilling over just with people, I'm understanding, one, the importance of my role, and understanding not being shaken in that. I think that's, like, one of the biggest things I can take away, not even getting into the specific, because we talked about a lot last season, but I think for me, just understanding my role and the affirmation that I've gotten with understanding my role, because I wasn't out on the front lines of campaigning with Ossoff and Warnock, but I definitely took my ass out and voted.
Absolutely.
I was on the front lines of President Biden and Kamala. I wasn't, but I understood my role and I went out and voted, and I was affirmed in that. And that's just a small example, but I think where I truly struggle is when I get into like some of those things where I am on the front lines and I am, I could talk about my chapter, for example. Like, I tend to be that person who's like, generating conversations, generating change, generating just a better experience for people. And it's just certain things that comes with that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I'm just learning, because it's still a process for me. I'm just learning how to not internalize that and sort of just accept it for what it was. Because,
Mm-hmm.
I can be candid. There are some people who probably don't fuck with me right now. And it is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
But I can't sit there and say that I didn't create a space for them to be successful.
Right.
That's not fair to me. That's not fair to the person who I am. And I think that's just a struggle that I did not understand what I was going through this past year. And this year just really, you told me to do it. Like, Sean, just like, focus on you and focus on the person you want to be. And that's what I've been trying to do. I'm learning how to just be in that space and be comfortable in that space. Because, we have so much work to do. And I think me and you specifically, like, God has just put us on this earth to do some things and shake the table.
Absolutely.
on a lot of different things. And
break it. Honestly,
that is just an interesting space to be in, but I'm learning how to just sit in it, sit in it all, because it's hard. Because I if how these people responded to the change with just people casting votes, imagine what's going to happen when all these other things start coming down the pipeline. Black people got to be prepared for that. Politicians have to be prepared for that. And I think just the stance me and you have taken just on a lot of different issues, we're probably going to be in the mix of that. Like, we're probably going to be on the front lines at some point. And you talk about it all the time. Like, we're at that turnover point where our parents' generation are really no longer in charge. Because for the longest time, our parents' are still involved, especially when it comes to politicians. Like, them niggas old as fuck.
Yeah.
But also, youngest senator to be elected into the Senate. It's time for us to be in those spaces now, and we just got to get ready for everything that sort of comes with that, and stand true in it. Because if our ancestors didn't stand true in it, we wouldn't be where we are now. And I'm pretty sure they felt like shit. They were like, why couldn't I just get up? Rose was like, I should have just got the fuck up. I should have just got the fuck up and moved the seat back. It was probably a seat open right behind her. But she was like, no, I'm good on that. But it's so scary. It's extremely scary, especially today, because I think it was. Don't get me wrong. A lot of things are very transparent nowadays, but there's so many things that are just like, oh shit, that was racism, that was prejudice, that was homophobia, that was biphobia. Like, there's just so many things ingrained into culture that we don't even pick up on, especially with our upbringing. Like, it's scary because we just don't know if we're going to be protected if we do decide to go out against the grain.
And for the longest, those things were disguised as like sensitivities.
Right.
So they were like,
hypersensitive.
Y'all are just so sensitive.
Right.
No. Stop letting bullshit. Stop excusing bullshit. You're doing it because you feel like you have no choice, but you do. And it's okay that you don't know where to start. This is why you have people who try to figure those things out. That's why when you see certain people of color, people that look like you in these positions, support them.
Yes.
Even if you don't know what the fuck, support them. Kamala Harris is an AKA.
Who graduated from Howard.
Support her. I don't give a fuck what she did as a DA in California. She is here And she is doing what she has to do to ensure that people who look like her, and it goes beyond black people, because she doesn't just have black heritage. Mm-hmm. She has South Asian heritage, which is also a community, a underrepresented community in politics. Mm-hmm. Her position right now is she's doing what she needs to do.
Yeah.
And so to that, absolutely. It's going to be a scary road. But bring it on, honey.
Yeah.
Because Rosa, Harriet, Crispus Attucks, Sojourner Truth, George Washington Carver, Booker T. Washington, Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, all these motherfuckers, Arthur Ashe, hell, present day Serena Williams, as problematic as he is, Tiger Woods. All of these people have gone into spaces that weren't traditionally created for us to thrive in, and have laid out that premise for people that look like them. And it takes dissonance in order for change to happen. Mm-hmm. And it scares everybody. It's going to scare the hell out of our parents. It's going to scare friends. It's going to scare... But change needs to happen.
Yeah.
And we all have callings, and God has a very interesting way of maneuvering through our lives. Mm-hmm. Or whomever you believe in. I know for me, and Sean is God for sure. But the universe has a way of working, we just have a way of becoming who we're supposed to be.
Yes.
And it's really difficult for people who are trying to who see room for progression or trying to find those opportunities.
Yeah.
But that's what made the season so beautiful. Is knowing that there are people out here who see the opportunities.
It was refreshing.
Yeah.
It was definitely refreshing after... I mean, the white people tears, all jokes aside, like, it was just refreshing to see things work out differently than...
Absolutely.
How they've just worked out in the past. Like...
Because 2016 was so shitty.
Yeah.
How was campus after... Trump, the night after election night, 2016?
It wasn't as bad because because we're closer to the city. Like, we're still up north, and granted, Kennesaw and, like, that area still has, like, its problems or whatever, but it's still... I think it's definitely one of those cities that's in, like, it's this weird space where, like, people are not going to condone fucked up shit.
Okay, yeah.
But you also have people who have been there since the 1980s. So it's, like, that sort of conflict. And then, like, I mean, being a university and being... Because Kennesaw doesn't want it to be a university town, but it just is what it is at this point.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, me and you have talked about what the university setting does and sort of brings to the area around it. They're sort of forced to have these conversations and deal with things head on. So it wasn't terrible. I'm pretty sure it wasn't nearly as bad as our Valdostas or institutions in South Georgia, Southern. Like, I'm pretty sure it was a cakewalk compared to some of the things that you guys went through. But I mean, it was noticeable.
Yeah.
I can still tell there was, like, this affirmation for bad habits. But it goes to what I was talking about with, like, things aren't as transparent as they used to be, and that's why it's just a scary thing because I was still in school during 2016, and just seeing how administration moved a little bit, especially when it came to different things that happened at the school, with the cheerleaders protesting. And I mean, we could even talk about it today or bringing it back to last year where Kennesaw made and I hope, whatever, it is what it is. Kennesaw made a statement about, like, basically a public statement downing like racism and like racial inequality and all that other stuff, but they were also like being brought. And granted, I don't know all the details. Some of it may just be like they were sort of subpoenaed or whatever. But there was also like this pull into a case where I think they were forced to give a character reference about the cop who killed Rayshard Brooks. So it's like,
oh, because he was a student at KSU.
Yes. Yeah. So you just don't know. I mean, where were y'all at in that grand scheme of things when you were at Southern? I'm sure it was a mess.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, so to what you said, a lot of where racism, like of course you have blatant racism, but a lot of where racism kind of like thrives is in the systematic, and it's how it's embedded systematically. Mm-hmm. So like within like rules and regulations, within passive aggressiveness, within all these different things that basically lead to like the blatant racism. But there was a lot of blatant racism that was happening on campus. I remember going to sleep sad as fuck, waking up sadder, having to go to class. Campus was stale. I guess white people were happy. White people were happy with the results, but didn't want to say anything in fear of being seen as anything other than how they want to be seen. Mm-hmm. And then
that polite racism.
Yeah, and a lot of people of color were walking around campus like, damn, what the fuck is this going to mean for me? Am I going to be at school next year? Right. Like those were the anxieties that were going through people's heads because we just were unsure. And then I remember there being an open house. I want to say it was either that weekend or the following weekend, and there were some frat boys in pickup trucks who were like essentially terrorizing potential students and their parents, potentially especially those of color, or not especially, but it was toward visitors of color, and telling them not to come here. They were like, y'all know what time it is. Basically, Jesus. You know, talking to the Proud Boy rhetoric. And it was very disheartening because I mean, white people just know better when it comes to me. I don't know if my energy just exudes Jesus or try me today if you want to, or try Jesus, not me. But I don't tend to be around areas like that. And my professor, I think this was in 2017 though, so I'm gonna bring that back later. But yeah, it was just very stale. And I just remember telling myself, I was like, I have to keep pushing, because I was in leadership positions. I had to keep the momentum going in so many different ways. And then my personal momentum, because I was getting closer to the end of my collegiate career. I was contemplating an internship, and that's the semester before I went to Disney. And so I had all these different things up in the air. I just had to kind of refocus. But now, I mean, just knowing my energy then and then knowing my energy this time around, it was crazy because first off, getting official results took like a week and a half. And then when we finally got them, I was like, yes. Actually, no, it didn't take a week and a half.
It was like 3
days. It was 3 days because I was in Florida. And
the bullshit carried on for a week and a half.
Right.
But it was by Friday, by Saturday,
right,
we knew.
Yeah. And then,
because I think I remember waking up to it.
And, yeah. And I think with me knowing, like, the deciding factor would really be, I mean, it was this, of course, but the other big race was pending, too.
Yeah.
Because we could have this in the White House and the executive branch, and then have something else in the legislative branch. And we already know what we're dealing with in the judicial branch. But it was ensuring that checks and balances. And I can very much so say that I wasn't as clouded this time around as I was in college.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was very interesting. But yeah, that was my mentality. I nobody ever really crossed me like that. So I was pretty prominent on campus. If people didn't know me, they knew at least my affiliations. And my professor, who I reached out to recently for a letter of rec, who I actually need to, like, for real, catch up with, because she was one of my favorite professors in undergrad. She was like, I'll never forget you being in my class and calling somebody out for being heteronormative. Ooh. And I was like, I did do that. And, like, I think it was my communication theories class. And there was this theory that was brought up, and somebody was saying something to, like, that's like it was a very piss poor example, I believe, of the theory. And I turned and I was like, you don't think that's heteronormative? Like, that completely boxes out anybody in the LGBTQIA plus spectrum. And they looked at me, they were like, well, and I was like, I mean, literally, it was probably as simple as that. Right. I don't think I drew it like I drew it out, but oftentimes I was that black kid in class. Mm-hmm. And because I sat in the front and I had all these opinions, nobody ever came for me.
Right.
But if I felt like who I was came for,
right,
my back turned, because I was always in the front. My back turned and I said what I had to say, and I turned around and started writing my notes.
It's the back turn.
I mean, period. It's the audacity for me, honestly. Because my very black ass.
Yeah.
Because, you know, college, you go into class with whatever the fuck you rolled out of bed in. And oftentimes my hair looked as hit as the, you know, as my life that week. So I was very me. I was very in my skin and comfortable in that. But it was so disheartening to hear potential students who just wanted to, first off, in some cases, first generation, just wanted to find community, and they were being hit like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, a few years later, here we are. They mad because we did what we need. We did what we needed to do.
They big mad.
And you know, all black people were just sitting back like, wow. Y'all had all that energy during the BLM protest where we were actually protesting our people getting shot in their homes. Meanwhile, you upset because you got maced in the face, and you're literally committing a federal offense by storming the Capitol.
Yeah.
During a fucking meeting. Like, what the hell? Really?
Yeah.
And the fact that their asses got in there, honey. Ugh.
Yeah, we're not gonna get too far into that, because that is it's actually atrocious. It makes me want to leave.
Child, I'm probably still gonna leave, to be honest. It's too much of the world to experience.
Yeah.
But
it's real atrocious.
It is. And I mean, yeah. Here we are.
Yeah.
Here we are, child. But 2021 is looking really promising personally.
Okay.
And yeah, I can't wait till we get to planning out. Well, we've already been planning out season 3, but you know, I think this is a really good season to kind of like push us in the right direction.
Yeah.
Where BGO is going.
It's different.
It is different. It is fucking different.
Who knows what season 3 gonna look like, child?
Who knows? I mean, who knows what season 2 is gonna look like?
Ooh.
Y'all already.
You ain't have to do them like that.
Child, they don't even know what happened. They just like, what y'all think Carlton and Sean talking about? Girl. Stay tuned. That's all I gotta say.
Amen.
Because VGO is year round, honey. Little do y'all black ass know. This project, so we turned 2 in February.
Yeah.
Do you realize that?
Yeah, I knew it was coming up soon.
So we started brainstorming, I want to say, I think we started talking about this during your final semester in school.
Yeah.
And then I think we started putting pen to paper in February.
Mm-hmm.
I know that's when I started branding and creating the logo and the aesthetic and the style book and all that stuff before we even recorded anything.
All right.
But yeah, it's been 2 years. And I mean, 2 years in, we have people who are listening. Thank y'all so much for tuning in and dealing with our bullshit. And it's so many more years to go.
Yeah.
Like, this shit is gonna be dope. And like I said, I don't know. We're gonna really see where the tides take us. Me and Sean about to be in grad school. Figuring some shit out. You're only applying for one program?
Mm-hmm. Well, once I get in, I'll be looking to do 2 certificate programs.
Oh, work.
Mm-hmm.
Work.
So.
Well, my black ass is applying for 4 at 4 different schools along the East Coast.
Ooh-wee.
Yeah,
you got it though.
I got 1 application in, and I'm working on 3 more. I mean, I'm almost done. I'm done. I'm just putting on finishing polishes.
Yeah.
Finishing polishes. So yeah, it's looking really good. All the conversations that I've been having with everybody have been incredible, with recommenders, with program leads at these different schools. I'm excited about the actual institutions, their locations.
Mm-hmm.
And they're all leading in the field that I'm currently looking at.
Okay.
So I'm looking at women's gender and sexuality studies because naturally,
yeah,
I'm pro women. I'm pro gay as fuck.
Yeah.
I'm pro people of color.
Mm-hmm.
And we just need that space. And I'm pro real. I think that's the biggest thing.
Mm.
Like, if y'all ass ever see me in politics, I promise you, I'm probably gonna be cussing. I'm probably gonna be cussing. I'm probably gonna be very, like, it's gonna be very unorthodox, and y'all are gonna love it.
See, I can't, cause I'm going into public policy, but I don't think I'll ever be
A front runner.
Mm-mm.
Well, not a front runner, like
Well, cause one
a face, I guess.
Yeah, one, cause I done been out in these streets too much, so I don't need nobody coming to the forefront of like, yes, Sean was in the back of my car.
First off, you pay people off for stuff like that. They sign NDAs.
But see, that makes it worse though. That's like, and I don't got nothing to hide. So.
And that is exactly the reason why. Yeah, I don't have anything to hide either.
I don't have nothing to hide, but I know how. To be like, you're not gonna campaign well, and I'm like, okay, so.
This is why, girl. I'm trying to tell y'all.
And then I don't need my business out there. You
Everybody has sex.
They do.
Everybody eat a little pen from time to time.
A little booty.
You know, we all do some things because guess what? We human, honey. But you know what? You know what's going to change the world is policy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm looking to do.
Doctrine.
Yeah.
This law that's going to grant rights to people like you and me.
Yeah.
Period. But yeah, that's the game of politics, though. It's nothing but.
Yeah, it's just a lot.
It's a lot of facade and weirdness.
I just don't need nobody coming on national television talking about I ate Sean's booty hole. I don't got time for that. I don't got no time.
I'll sit here and be like, prove it. I have no recollection.
Husband, and I'm speaking it. My husband doesn't. And like, of course he'll know. He'll be like, yeah, I know. That's my husband. He tells me everything.
Okay,
but he'll probably just be like.
I mean, at this point, I'm hoping that sex shaming will be so taboo that's just not a thing.
Yeah.
Y'all should not be out here sex shaming nobody.
Yeah.
Unless they sex shaming other people, then.
Yeah. That's when you can go for the juggling.
Yeah, that it's kind of warranted. Yeah. But all in all, I'm really excited. I'm really allowing the tides to just take me.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean that not literally, because I don't got time for what was the thing called?
What?
When we were watching on TV that time, where people get swept into the ocean. Like, oh, you on a whip?
Riptide.
Oh, you on a rip?
Oh my goodness. You're a mess.
Fucking around like Nemo in the damn what was that thing?
The drop off.
The drop off.
Yes.
That was in the thing though. What was the thing called?
That was the
specific current.
Whatever that shit is. I know what you're talking about though.
Oh my god, I ain't trying to be like Nemo. I won't survive. Nemo was a fucking fish.
Yeah.
I'm a mammal. I need to be on land. But I mean.
And air.
Yeah.
That's the main thing.
Yeah, oxygen. Absolutely. But
the air form of it.
Yeah, right. Right.
Literally.
Oxygen and water.
Literally. H2O.
Yeah, that'll flood the things that need the air. The air, oxygen.
Yeah.
Okay. The gas.
Wait,
the gas.
So hold on. Complete derailment. Do the fish consider like the water air? Think about
it.
Cause like if you think about air, it's all around us. And water is like they have to be submerged. So is that their air?
That's their equivalent to air, I suppose. I wouldn't say they think of it as air. I think they think of it as water.
Because it is water.
Because we think of water as water and not as air.
And they think of air as
air
because
and
they
not
can't
as water.
Breathe.
Right.
Okay.
But, I mean, their gills are meant for them to... That's how their respiratory system works. That's how they convert to whatever the fuck we get from air.
Right.
What does air do for us? I mean, I know it goes through your blood
oxygen.
and stuff. Okay, and
it goes.
Oxygen goes through your blood, and that's what keeps you.
And it passes through your organs, and your organs sucks what it needs. It sucks the oxygen out.
Okay.
And then it exports everything else.
I used to know a lot about this stuff.
I went to Fernbank my 9th grade year of high school.
I took Principles of Chemistry 1 and 2 and lab. I know what this stuff is. It's just
it'd be like
2020 was 20 years long, so that was like I graduated from college 23 years ago.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Not you a whole 43-year-old man.
I'm not. I'm still very much so 24.
Oh my god.
Just with the experience of a 43-year-old man.
That's deep.
That's trauma. And I'm probably 143.
Not with the trauma.
Yeah. The black experience.
Oh, God.
But it's okay. Because I'm black, gay, and okay. So do you want to give any insight? Do you want to just leave it there, give the people some time to, like, really take in this season? Anything you want to leave them with?
I don't really have anything else. Don't be a raggedy ass nigga.
Period.
And I mean raggedy, don't be racist. Don't be homophobic.
Mm-hmm.
Don't be biphobic.
Mm-hmm.
And people, stop. Derailment again. People done got into this whole thing about like, well, I'm not scared of gays, so I'm not homophobic. Okay.
Honey.
Don't get into technicalities, bitch. You know exactly what the fuck I'm talking about.
Bitch, you want to know the origin of words so bad.
Right.
We done changed the origin of phobia in the case of humans. We get it.
I got with somebody one time with Twitter, and I was like, technically, you're correct, but you know everything surrounding this term, so don't act like you don't know.
Right.
Because if you didn't know, you wouldn't even be having this conversation with me.
And it is a phobia because you sit here, and I mean, I'm in a literal sense. I mean, it is a phobia. It's classified as a phobia, but it's a different derivative. It is indeed a fear of something different.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that you feel as if your life is compromised because of somebody else living their life, and you feel as that's justification for X, Y, and Z is very much so a form of phobia.
Yeah.
Whether or not you want to ration it that way or not.
Yeah.
Baby, it's okay. It's not okay.
But
where we are right now, it's okay to realize that, and it's okay to work on it.
Yeah. There we go. Yeah, don't be raggedy.
Don't be raggedy.
Be open. I think in this day and age, you have to be receptive of things that you're not comfortable with.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You have to be receptive of understanding that there may be things about you that aren't okay, aren't good.
Yeah.
And also understand there may be things about you that you should keep and that are good, but through it all, having the wisdom to recognize the difference.
It was dumb.
Don't be stupid.
Don't be stupid.
But yeah, I mean, I feel like we had a great conversation today.
Yeah.
Which is where we are. So I mean, if anything, just knowing your role and being comfortable in that.
Period.
And if I'll loop it back in one more time. If you think your role is to be a bitch, nigga, raggedy, homophobic, biphobic, racist, prejudiced, discriminatory, I don't know how many words I got to throw in there. If you was making somebody's life hell, don't do that. Like, just don't.
Just don't do it.
Just don't. That is not your role. You thought wrong.
Right.
Go to therapy.
Right.
And figure out what your role is.
If it ain't a cinnamon roll, a Tootsie Roll, or a roll that's going to be for the advancement of all people,
Amen.
You can roll to early
right
6 feet under.
Amen.
Per. Okay.
Yeah. But, I mean, how about you? You good?
Yeah, I just want to say thank you to our VSOPs real quick, our very special opinionated people. So in our religion segment, we had Nick and we had Sherry. Mm-hmm. For the social justice segment, we had Aaron, NK, Sashay,
Ajane.
And Ajane.
Mm-hmm.
And then for pop culture, we had Jeffrey, Andre, Kadeem, and Terrell. Mm-hmm. So thank y'all so much for making this season of BGO Pod absolutely incredible. We look forward to bringing on more insightful guests in the future.
Oh, yes.
It's going to happen because this is a well-rounded podcast. Mm-hmm. And
round
like a Georgia peach. Mm-hmm.
Or
in all forms. I was literally about to. In all forms and the other way. I refer to my butt as a peach. As a Georgia peach. Is that strange?
No.
You know, South Carolina actually has better peaches than we do.
Yeah, I don't like Georgia peaches.
Yeah.
Don't tell nobody I said that, though.
Well, now Anchor is going to do a great job at telling everybody that you said it.
No, I do not. Georgia peaches aren't sweet to me.
They're not.
And they're hard as hell.
And I don't know what type of shit they pump into them South Carolina peaches, but the motherfuckers be good. The ones you pick up.
I told you, racism make your shits hard and your dick shorter. I'm trying to tell y'all.
Well, whatever y'all doing in South Carolina, keep it up. Actually, don't, because we need to stay the peach state. Yeah. But we're also the Empire State of the South, so can't take that from us.
Yeah.
But all right, y'all. Well, y'all be blessed. Stay masked up. Say something nice to a friend this week. Don't be a hater all your life. And yeah.
Yeah. That is all, folks.
That is all.
All right.
Bye.